Hi, and welcome to Teletalk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're enjoying what you hear, please do rate, review, and subscribe. It really means a lot to us.
You can contact us on our socials. We're at Teletalk on Blue Sky and on Facebook. And you can email us at teletalkpod@outlook.com.
So this episode, we are armchair experting, Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episode 17. It's the third commitment ceremony.
You are determined to make experting a verb.
Yeah, well, I think it's going quite well.
I know you do.
Well, we start this episode with John saying, "There's no hiding tonight."
And there's no hiding because they're not necessarily going to entirely keep everyone to check.
They did spend a lot of time, as you call it, the preamble,
Yes.
and less time actually on the couches.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the experts this episode. I'm bitter. They don't hold people to strong enough account for me, and I'm sure that there's a very good reason, whether that be mental health or viewership or trying to keep us watching, I don't know, but I found it deeply annoying.
I do agree. I did come away feeling a bit underwhelmed. But shall we get started with our first couple?
Yes, because I was really surprised when they picked Elliot and Veronica to go first, because I was expecting them to start with a nice softball, but they went straight in with a problem couple.
Well, the thing is, so many couples had issues at the dinner party that I think they were spoilt for choice, really.
This was a bit of a feel-good one, in theory.
You think this was feel-good?
It was a bit. It was more feel-good than I was expecting.
I see. But I think they do that with a lot of couples this episode.
Yeah.
They do. Right, okay, well, we'll just leave that there. Let's go to the decision when I feel they're just getting started.
Oh, well, yeah, and we don't know how much they actually get to that we don't see.
Yeah. They are sitting fairly distant from each other on the couch. I thought that was interesting. And they move closer together as their session comes to an end.
Yeah, which makes sense, because I think they start the session with Veronica having quite a lot of doubts about Elliot based on his behaviour and what Lauren said.
Yes, but she's quite measured, and everything that she says is accurate, so I thought that was a really nice introduction for them.
Yeah.
Because he got to hear her, and he did listen.
Well, he did, and it seems like the fact that she was the one questioning him based on his behaviour was that, I hesitate to say a wake-up call, because it'll be interesting to see how much of he follows through on, but he takes accountability of his behaviour and says that he's behaved inappropriately and apologises to Lauren, and it seemed about as heartfelt as you could imagine.
Yeah, I thought he seemed quite reflective and sincere. I was quite pleased to see it, and I think Veronica was as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, if I'm going to be consistent, because I will be referencing the whole show don't tell later on with some other couples, while I think this seemed like positive words, obviously we'll have to see whether his actions play out going forward.
Yeah, well, along that, we obviously have the music in the background of this couple, which was very uplifting, gentle, positive. And then sort of the crescendo of that, we have him praising Veronica and him really singing her positive attributes, which I know show don't tell, but he is demonstrating to everyone how he feels about her, and I thought that was quite powerful from him.
Yeah, and to be fair, she seems to be quite good at articulating her feelings. I think my sort of terminology of the episode was her saying that his behaviour was very confronting for her.
Yeah.
And that was a really succinct and really good way of expressing the myriad of emotions that would have come across. So she earns my merit for word of the day.
And I feel like the producers, as well as everyone on the couch and involved in this, are sort of showing us Elliot's redemption arc here.
He even got positive music, and that's always the sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed John opening up the conversation by going, "Elliot, we meet again," like straight out of a Star Wars movie or something. Just, don't forget about that mad interview at the beginning of the show.
So they both stay.
They do.
No surprises there.
Yay.
So Lauren and Clint are next. They were sat apart, but the difference was for them, they were turned inwards. So they were sort of almost facing each other in their apartness.
My interpretation of that was that they were kind of set apart because he was giving her the space to express herself, because I think it was always going to be focused on her. And I have a feeling that this, if it doesn't get checked, might well be a downfall for their relationship.
Yes, I've made a note of that as well. It is a bit concerning at this point that there is so much comparison.
Well, and of course, it's all about her and her journey and how hard done by she's been and how shit it's been for her. Like, I don't know anything about good old Clinty boy yet. Like, apart from that he's not Elliot and she considers him to be better than Elliot.
Well, and as you've already pointed out, that's from Lauren's perspective. We haven't particularly found out anything directly from Clint.
I know, this is the kind of thing that I've talked about before, where I felt like she's going in really hard constantly on Elliot, and there's a point where it feels like that tips over to, all right, love, just move on now. Like, yeah, he was a bellend to you, we all agree. Can we maybe move on with our lives now? Especially now that he said sorry.
So this is the point going forward from them that you are looking to see some more.
I think she's won that argument. Fine. It seems from the preview that we've seen that she's not going to let it go. And I think that's going to be a problem.
Will these two stay? And our next couple is Jackie and Ryan.
Yes, straight off the back of Clint taking a moment to go, with respect to everyone here, Lauren is the best looking one to me here. And I could just see Ryan going, yeah, thanks for that, mate. That was stirring Jackie up some more. And good old Jackie and Ryan, they are a shit show.
The first thing they do on the couch is apologise for their behaviour at Beth and TJ's wedding, and they sort of apologise to them, and they accept that. But there's quite a lot missing from that apology.
Like authenticity and genuineness?
Well, and I also meant the dragging of Rhea and Jeff into their relationship. They don't mention this at all, but it played quite a big part in the dinner party.
Well, yeah, and that's because, as we've seen from Jackie's talking head at the dinner party, she doesn't think it's a big deal and she just wants Rhea to get over it.
Yeah.
Jackie is so self-absorbed and so oblivious to everything, and that's just her thing.
Yes, because one of the main things they brought was Ryan expressing his dismay about this rap sheet issue that they've had, and she's brought it with her, highlighting the fact that she's got no self-awareness in the context of others.
Even in the moment where the whole group is grumbling and laughing and ridiculing it, the experts are just aghast, head in hands.
Really shocked, aren't they?
And they basically go, yeah, that's not healthy. And she just blazes on anyway.
Yeah, she continues to read from it.
I found it really annoying. But what I found deeply frustrating, and it's, again, a theme with the experts, John validates her. John validates her behaviour by saying, oh, well, for most people, you would consider that to not be very healthy. But for you guys, it sort of helped you combine each other. I'm like, don't validate Jackie here, John. What are you doing?
I thought that was an interesting comment because I had taken the opposite. Because Ryan actually seems to be engaging in some real feelings here, talking about how hurtful it was. And all of these things, Jackie's not taking any responsibility for her part in that. And then, as you say, John comes along and validates her behaviour.
Yeah, and everything that she mentioned on that rap sheet was just petty, unnecessary shit.
Yeah, what I took it to mean was that overall, I think she just wants to feel loved. And that maybe what John is validating is the fact that through her communication of this list, Ryan is starting to understand that and change his behaviours to the way that she wants and needs.
I took it somewhat differently, as I feel like it's a manifestation of her fundamental lack of respect for him. Like, she has such a low opinion of Ryan and his behaviour. She treats him like a teenage boy, and she doesn't give him any respect at all. And I will grant you, I'm not sure how much general respect he engenders, but it's just so blatant, and it's so disrespectful, and it's just so oblivious.
Yeah, my opinion of them overall is that Ryan does seem to be learning and is engaging with his emotional side, and Jackie is very much stuck and not moving forward and not developing herself at all.
Yeah, and to your point of, like, they rattle through people, they sort of draw a line under their talk, and I'm like, what, is that it? Is that what we're calling that there, are we?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So we're left to wonder quite a lot about them.
Oh my god, they both stay and they limp along. They're going to limp along and drag this out. I fully expect that they're going to have a massive meltdown at, like, the final episode where they...
You say they're limping along, and while I don't disagree, I think there is some nuance in there because I am starting to feel sorry for Ryan.
Yeah, and I
Like,
didn't
and
think...
that's a change.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, how? How are you doing this, Jackie? That's impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking of impressive, they did manage to unite an unlikely couple together in their nonsense, because I saw Billy and Sierra both co-cringing at what Jackie was doing. I'm like, if you can unite Billy and Sierra in something, that is powerful stuff.
Well, like you say, they both stay, and we move on to Rhee and Jeff.
Another couple sucked into the black hole of Jackie.
Well, what's interesting is the experts have shut down Jackie and Ryan, I think prematurely, but they did, and they sent them back to the couch. Rhee and Jeff arrive, and they bring up Jackie's behaviour. Jackie is not pleased.
I enjoy that they basically went, have you guys got any issue? And their answer was, yeah, basically Jackie.
Yeah.
They don't want to say Jackie, and they force them to.
Yeah, Rhee avoids bringing Jackie's name into it, and Alessandra presses. And as soon as Jackie's name is mentioned, she's rolling her eyes. Alessandra addresses Jackie. Jackie really tries to avoid even looking at Alessandra.
So childish.
Yeah. And Alessandra asks Jackie to consider what Rhee is feeling, and in so doing, A, she gets it wrong, and B, she shits all over Ryan again.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, how do you think Rhee has been feeling? She feels excluded and left out. No, Jackie, that's not it. That's not even close. Like, not even a little bit. Like, she doesn't get it. She thinks she's done nothing wrong and that Rhee is, like, hysterical about it.
Yeah.
And then she takes the opportunity to say, I can't handle Ryan on my own, I need backup.
Poor Ryan.
I know. I did not think that someone would make me sympathise this much with Ryan. Don't get me wrong, he seems like a bit of a douche, in my opinion, but he does not deserve all of this.
But the thing is, we've gone back into Jackie and Ryan now, but the thing is, I think he's trying to be reasonable, but how reasonable can you be when you are with someone so unreasonable?
I know. The irony of us going, yeah, they spent most of their time talking about Jackie and Ryan in Rhee and Jeff's, but they did, and that's why we're talking about it. But when they do eventually wrangle it round to going, how did you feel about Jeff, Rhee, in all of this? Jeffrey, their co-name as well, their couple name. And Rhee was like, yeah, he's been supportive.
She feels supported, which I think is important. We don't hear that much from him, but the main focus then becomes that they've been intimate.
Yeah, oh yes.
And everyone celebrates, and they look pleased and happy and relaxed.
I've never known people to be so vicariously excited by someone else's sex life.
I know.
Maybe I'm just sheltered, but that seems weird to me.
I think it's an important part of this show in particular, because it's an important part of a intimate relationship.
Yeah, I suppose so. I can only presume as well, like from because we haven't seen the intervening episode, so I'm presuming that as soon as Jackie reached out to Jeff, he went to Rhee going, Jackie's trying to get me on my own. It's a bit weird, right? Because otherwise I presume it would have come up about, like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, well, Jeff has quite a lot of integrity. We've seen that up until this point, so I imagine he did exactly what you've just suggested.
What a contrast to another couple in which meeting behind people's backs is quite a big deal.
Yes, well, Rhee and Jeff stay, and we move on to Sierra and Billy.
Oh boy, getting the big stuff in early.
Yeah.
Would you say that this is going well?
Absolutely not.
No.
The experts press Sierra on what she feels her mistake is, and she brings it all to what she's done to offend Athena. There is no consideration for Billy, even when she's pressed about it.
The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. Honestly, she's there giving like a profuse apology to Athena, and Billy's just sat there on the end of the couch going, I could see him getting so angry, because he's been despondent before, he's felt neglected, and now he's just pissed off. And I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
He has been incredibly neglected by Sierra.
And, you know, say what you like about the whole wife swap comment. I feel aggrieved on his behalf, because the experts really go in on him. And I'm not excusing that. But I think if you look at it in the context of the show, they do apparently sometimes have a wife swap like phase in the show. And we never get any context around which he said that.
Yeah.
And I feel like she gets softballed and he gets absolutely raked over the coals.
You're right, we don't get the context of that. I mean, that could have been a comment in anger to Adrian, as in, what do you just want to wife swap then? As in, he's speaking what he thinks Adrian is thinking, as opposed to what he himself is thinking. We don't know.
Well, like, they hold him to account, and he owns it. He admits that it's wrong. And he says it's not normally how I am. And everyone seems to accept that, even the experts.
Yeah.
But conversely, when they challenge Sierra to say, like, do you regret not telling Billy? Do you regret treating him that way? And they let her off with her going, and I quote, I guess, maybe, I don't know. And especially when you compare that to the last commitment ceremony where John nailed down Athena to go, you must answer the question yes or no.
Yeah.
I just was like, why do you like the people I dislike? And why are you mean to the sweethearts?
My take on this, of them as a couple during this episode, is that there is an imbalance in vulnerability. He has been open and vulnerable with her, and she has not been that with him. And I think this imbalance has just got bigger and bigger and bigger between them.
Yeah, and it just feels to me like she's not into Billy. I don't think she thinks very highly of him at all. And for some reason, she's not willing to just tell him.
Well, we get to the point where they both say leave, and then she seems to regret her decision. She realises the enormity of what she's said. And I felt in this moment that there was an element of me being right about what I said of her in our last episode, because I suggested that she was worried that if she showed Billy her vulnerability, that he would take that and cause more damage. And when they've both put leave, I could almost feel in her this, I should have just tried. I'm going to give it 50-50 as to whether they continue talking.
You give it 5 out of 10?
It was 50-50, isn't it?
So yeah, they leave, and I think that's a good thing.
But it was so sad.
It was. Sad for Billy. I don't feel sad for her.
Beth and TJ.
Welcome to the show, Beth and TJ.
This is where the pace of the episode really picks up, because they're good, they're smiling, they're valuing each other, they're hopeful, they're connected, and they stay, and we're gone, and we move on, and we think, oh my god, what happened?
Well, yeah, the one thing that I thought was interesting is they were like, oh yeah, we've been smooth sailing. I'm like, I don't know, you've been jackied already, guys. You barely got married and you already got jackied, so good luck with that.
That's a good point. Jackie's sort of going round the couples, seeing where she can spread her chaos.
Jackie is hit listing every couple, and she kind of missed out on Billy and Sierra, although she did unite them in chaos earlier. So, you know,
maybe we
out.
should take bets on who she's going to infiltrate next.
I'm going to go with Karina and Paul.
Okay, they seem fairly stable. Let's give them some upset.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from Karina and Paul, so I'd really like to see anything happen.
But before Karina and Paul, we have Jamie and Dave.
You mean Jave?
I do mean Jave.
Oh, good old boring Jave.
They seem very close to each other. They talk about falling in love. Now, this actually was a nice moment.
I disagree.
Oh.
She talks about falling in love, and then when it's pushed on to him, he doesn't really commit. And I couldn't nail it. It just felt generic words from him, like, yeah, you know, it's going in the right direction. I could see myself in the feelings and everything. I didn't feel like it reached his eyes. And I might just be going, they're boring now, look for drama.
So what I feel happening is you are 100% right, and I felt that too, but I didn't want it to be the case, and so I totally ignored it. And now that you are bringing it up, yeah.
Now, it could be that because he was put on the spot, and if he doesn't quite feel as far along as her, he might have felt like he had to say something, but it wasn't as authentic. Or it could be illustrative of a future problem.
Well, what's interesting about them, certainly on the couch, is that she always goes first. And so I suppose it's very easy for him to just go along with the vibe. Well, maybe if they asked him first, we'd get a different take.
Whenever we see them, and again, we don't see them in the intervening, so all I really see are those snapshots of them getting all up in everyone else's business. Like, they're both quite vocal with other couples, but we don't see a lot of them doing anything else. And so there is that concern that maybe there's not that connection.
Well, we see their physicality with each other, don't we?
Yeah. Like I said, I might be seeing something in nothing, but I have concerns.
Okay.
They both stay.
Yep.
Yay.
Karina and Paul.
Oh.
They're so happy.
Oh.
They're so relaxed.
Ugh.
And they're overlapping each other on the couch, which was really quite nice to see. They are very connected.
Yeah, their asses barely touch the couch before they're telling us that they're staying and they bugger off again.
Yeah.
So, fun times.
Then we get Morena and Tony. Hang on. Morena and Tony.
That was good. I'm not going to do that. I went on quite a roller coaster with Tony and Morena.
Morena.
I don't know what my pronunciation was. It was just Moni.
Yeah.
That's their couple name. They initially seemed like they were doing well good.
Yeah, but you could see her hanging back. A bit like you just said of Dave. She wasn't quite with him on his journey.
And then the new couples get to view what is the Morena murder face. Oh, the couples laughed. Oh, you don't do that with Morena.
But what I did notice in her, I don't know what to call it. It's not an outburst, it's a confrontation maybe. What I did notice is that she is calm. She doesn't point, and she is articulate in her point.
She did fall back into the passive-aggressive, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry that I'm upset. 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
You can't change your whole personality in 1 week.
You could see Tony visibly deflate when it started.
But you know what? She has a point. I would hate to be put in a headlock.
Duly noted.
Just don't do that. Just don't do that.
No. Well, this is the thing, like, in our relationship, there have been jovial things like that I've done that you've gone, I don't like that, and I've gone, fair play, I'll stop doing that.
Well, sometimes it's taken a bit longer.
Yeah, but I've listened.
Yeah.
And you haven't had to call me out in front of a panel of peers.
But we also don't have a panel of peers.
Maybe we should. We'd have got to it quicker. Yeah, that's me going, hey, do you know what? That show seems to be healthy for relationships. And I'm not convinced that's true.
Yeah. But, like you said, he does hear her, and he promises no more headlocks and no more, fist bumps, wasn't it?
Yeah, and high fives.
Yeah.
All of the immature shit. And to be fair to her, I was going, that's not what you do in a relationship. That's pally-pally. And he initially didn't seem to be giving much indication that he was willing to hear her. Because he was like, oh no, that's just what I do. And the whole group, to be fair, was kind of invalidating her by going, yeah, but it's just his way. We do this, we do that. And it's like, yeah, but that's not you, that's not them. If that's so big for her, if that's a big deal for her, you should be listening as her partner.
Well, it's like when I was calling you dude, and you did not like that.
No.
And I couldn't understand it for a while. Like, it's just fun. But okay, fine. You've got a problem. I'll try not to say it.
I can't believe you've brought that up. I'm so triggered.
Oh my god, triggered.
I'm going to start writing a rap sheet.
Go on then. Like to see that rap sheet.
Keeps bringing up the dude thing.
This one time. I brought it up one time.
I will get back to you on the rest. When I do write it, I'll keep it in my bra.
Good. Morena and Tony both stay, and so we will see them next time.
Yeah, I was actually slightly surprised. I was half thinking Morena might have written leave again. I don't know how the rules work. If she'd have written leave again, would they have gone?
I think they go, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Adrian and Athena. She looks so sad, and she refers to herself as feeling invisible. And I thought, that is a really good summary from what we've seen over the last few weeks. Feeling invisible seems to be exactly what it is.
I saw Adrian add to his toolkit of emotional bullying. Yay! He's now busting out the straw man arguments. Whenever she challenges him, he just serves up this hyperbolic thing that he's interpreted that she said, and then throws it at her to make her defend it, even though that's not what she said.
Can you give an example? Because I don't quite know what you mean.
When he goes to visit her at their apartment, and he's being all passag and neggy, he starts trying to defend himself, and she says, oh, no, this stuff that you're doing shows that you haven't held yourself accountable. And he goes, so you're always perfect and you've never done anything wrong. That's what you're saying, isn't it? And that's not what she said. And he's throwing that at her to invalidate her and try and make her defend that argument, which she hasn't actually made.
Right. And that's called straw man.
It's a straw man argument. He's effectively creating a straw man for her to attack to decoy from him. It's an actual thing. Dr. Adam, in the wonderful Sister I's Professor podcast, talks about it at length. It's an argument tactic.
I think I might have fallen asleep during that bit.
Sorry, Dr. Adam, what a review. 2 out of 5 stars. I fell asleep for some of it.
No, he always gets 5 out of 5.
Yeah, he does.
Not that we do out of 5.
That's the one thing we don't do.
I always give Dr. Adam 10 out of 10.
So many ratings. Yeah, but they recount the whole Adrian being a dickhead and leaving. He refuses to take any accountability while declaring that he's taken accountability.
What I thought was quite nice about this is that John decides to lay out all of his behaviour, and he starts listing the things that Adrian has done and ends it by saying, and the problem, the overarching problem in all of this, is that you can't say sorry.
I think the overarching problem is he doesn't recognise he needs to say sorry.
Same sort of thing, isn't it?
A bit. I find it frustrating. He sort of bleeds out this thing of like, he keeps referring to women are like this and us men. I'm like, ooh, that's some nice sexism just interspersed in your entire being. Good job there.
What I thought was quite nice, at one point, Dave interjects into their couch chat, and he's speaking directly to Adrian, but in the process, he praises Athena. And hearing this nice comment, someone actually treating her with kindness and respect, brings her to tears.
But doesn't that just show you the impact of his emotionally bullying behaviour has had on her?
Yeah.
He's absolutely just reduced her down to that state.
Yeah.
It's appalling, and he doesn't get held account. He's allowed to constantly dismiss it by going like, oh yeah, we behaved differently. Yeah, oh, it was fine. And then eventually, when it's got to the point where he sees that he has to own up to it and own it, he doesn't even really say sorry.
No, well, he says he wants to stay so that he can fix it.
And then he starts invalidating her by, like, when it's time for her to reveal what she's... Because he initiates doing the cards. He's like, well, end this, let's do the cards. So I'm like, I don't like that either. But then, when it's her turn to reveal, he goes, oh, we don't need to see that. And pre-invalidates her.
I think there's some fear in him at that point.
And as soon as she starts talking about why, he's rolling his eyes and looking fed up. That I don't believe a word of what he's said about, oh, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to get better, I want to do better. I don't believe a word of it.
Well, Athena says that she wants to leave. And what I thought was really nice from her is that she shows him first. She doesn't show the experts first, she doesn't show the camera first. She shows it to him and then reveals it to everyone else. And I thought that was a really nice, respectful thing from her. Respectful
for a man that deserves no respect. Not an ounce of it. Also, because he's made her feel invisible, she probably needs to make sure that he does in fact see it.
Well, he does promise all these changes, as you said, and I found myself in a similar position to Athena where I wanted to believe him, but it's very difficult to.
He is the worst person on this show, and I include anyone that's left the show this season so far. I think it's appalling. I think it's a dereliction of duty from the experts to let him continue in this and to keep those two in it as they were. I feel deeply sorry for Athena. I'm astonished that it's carrying on. And as much as they might be trying to hope for some sort of redemption arc story, I don't see it. I just see her getting more and more emotionally damaged.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's horrific to watch happen.
Yeah, and I think at this point someone needs to be held accountable for what is going on here. I find it deeply frustrating and concerning. And I know it's not fun to say that, but I think it's true.
I think it's going to be very interesting then to see what comes next. How far does this go?
There's still a lot of very problematic behaviour here. The ones that are fine, I don't believe, because I don't think they've actually had any challenges as of yet. And the ones that are imploding, I think it's either, like with Jackie and Ryan, it's terrible for both of them, or there's a situation where someone is victimising someone else, and it's very hard to watch. And it feels like it's abuse being masked as entertainment.
That's heavy. I mean, do you want to keep watching?
I think I have to, but it is concerning. Maybe I'll be wrong. I have been wrong a lot, so maybe they'll turn it around and he'll become the bestest boy.
It's a valid question, though. We are watching and podcasting about it, but we don't have to.
I feel like I need to see what happens, but if it gets much worse, then I might be out.
Okay.
The longer this goes on, the less likely I am to watch further series. Because realistically, like, what authenticity do we think there is in any of the relationships? Like, you've got Rhee and Jeff, who seem to have built things healthily. We don't know anything about Paul and Karina. I've got my concerns about Jamie and Dave, and those are kind of like the good ones.
Well, it's posited as an experiment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I'd feel better if I felt like there was more consistency from the experts in who they do and don't call out.
There might be that, and we just don't see that edit.
Maybe.
We don't know.
We don't.
And we don't have the balance this year of Lucinda.
No, that's true.
She brought a lot of goodness last year.
This show is missing a Lucinda. And kind of a Tim. So yeah, Athena and Adrian. Athena leave, Adrian stay. Did they both stay last ceremony? So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what he could do to turn my opinion around at this point.
So, just summarising the whole episode then, what are you going to rate it?
I am giving it 1 deep sense of frustration out of 7.
Oh. Wow. And that's reflective of how you feel based on the things you've already talked about.
Yeah, I tried to take a step back and go, how did I feel about this as entertainment? And if I felt vaguely guilty about it if I was consuming it as entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm a real downer today.
You are.
I'm a downer. I need to go and eat something and be cheerful.
Well, I have given this 7 out of 10 because I felt that it's still on the side of good with a massive but. It felt like an onslaught. It felt like we were getting couple after couple after couple without really getting into the weeds with them, which is what I wanted. I felt that there's a lot of unresolved emotion from various people involved, on the good and the bad side, and I was left feeling unfulfilled.
I've taken a moment while you've been explaining your point, and I agree with what you're saying. I think for me, Adrian and Athena's relationship is such a huge factor in that. If they were ejected from the show between now and next time, I think my perspective would be completely... If you recorded the episode and just cut the Adrian and Athena bit out and showed me the rest of it, I think I'd probably be scoring it in a similar proportion to you.
Yeah.
I can't see past Adrian.
I think it's probably more your empathy for Athena and what he's putting her through.
Yeah, that does hit me a bit different. Whereas, one would argue that the worst stuff outside of that is the Jackie and Ryan stuff, and that is at least funny.
Well, I think the difference that we have is that Jackie and Ryan go into it as equals, whereas we have here Athena, whose locus of evaluation seems somewhat external, and she bases a lot of her value on what he says. And so when he says these horrible things, it hits her really hard. And
of course, you can't get past the fact that there is a child that could be impacted by... If they continue this relationship outside of the process, there's a child who could be caught in the middle of that, whether that's being role modelled to by behaviour or whether that's being directly impacted by that behaviour. And on that cheery-deary note, that's all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review the podcast. Your thoughts really do mean a lot to us. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Toodles.